Hello, in this video I'm going to carry on by coming back and covering all the bookcases on the wall of the room. If I come round, you will see that there are lots of boxes, so there is not a lot of room. If I come round, in that picture frame is an American science fiction magazine printed by Mailian. I just did this an experiment to see how it would look in a frame. You can protect the magazine, and I think it looks quite impressive. If you had several, it might make quite a nice display. The artwork is by Stanley Pitt. I'm told that none of the artwork relates to the stories in the magazines, but I think that one is reasonably impressive. So if I come round, this is where I finished last time. What I will say is up the top I have a few miscellaneous hardcovers. So I've got Battlestar Galactica on the left, some Robin Hobbs, some Hawking George books, some Brian Jakes, and then coming round more miscellaneous hardbacks up the top. And underneath I have 3 rows of Door Yellow Spines. These are triple stacked, and that represents the whole of the yellow spines. When I get to the very end, I have number 581, which is the first of the non-yellow spines. And underneath and all the way down to the floor, it carries on up to about 980 or something. I can't remember the exact number it finishes, and then I carried on elsewhere. There is not a lot of room in this area, and what I have is another pile of trays of duplicates. I may, if I have a chart, try and show you. In this box is some more duplicates, which are more of the American science fiction. Not common, not easy to find. I did see if there was any interest on eBay a year or two ago, but nothing happened. So these are some of the duplicates. There's a slightly better copy of the one that was in the frame. Derelict of Space. I'm just wondering what you think about the artwork of Stanley Pitt on the cover. So by all means comment. Another one. £20 I had on that. These are not common, you will not find them very often. The Mailian printings were done in Australia, I think in something like 51 to 55. Stanley Pitt's got a sort of classic style of art. Oh, this is a really tatty copy. Only be £2 or £3 if anyone wanted it. As you can see, it's pretty rough. This is one of the rare ones. Philip St. John, and my memory's gone blank as to who the author is. That's a pseudonym, and it is quite uncommon, although I think the sort of market price of perhaps £80 is somewhat excessive, but I've gone with that. And another. And another. I do have more duplicates, but this is the first lot. I thought you might like to see the covers. Now I shall put those back. I will also quickly try and show you the tray of duplicates. Sorry, it's an empty bag. I think this is the top of, is it 8 or possibly 9 trays. These I slipped in, the top 1 or 2 I slipped in recently, but the ones underneath probably haven't been shifted for several years. So there might be some older and rather nicer stuff in the lower ones. I may just be able to give you a look at the next tray, which again is fairly run-of-the-mill, but as I say, some people like to see and see what sort of books people have. These are not in any particular order. I never got around to sorting my duplicates, or I did when I had the chance put them together. So for example, the 2 Jenny Wirts I put together. Anyway, I thought you would be interested in seeing that. I'm not going to try and go deeper because it would get rather messy to do. So if I can, sorry about if you lost the picture then. So coming round, between the 2 bookcases that are affixed to the wall, there's a freestanding half-size Billy bookcase. On top, just miscellaneous hardbacks, maybe paperbacks as well. And then I have 3 and a bit shelves of my pocket Timescape books, and then I've got another shelf and a half of signed pocket Timescapes. So for example, I think I explained how it worked. The person I bought it off used to put the labels on the cover. So this one is signed by Harlan Ellison, Fritz Lieber, Susie McKee Charnas, Greg Bear, Michael Bishop, Orson Scott Card. So the collector who had these made an effort to get most of them signed. You may wonder about this. It's not signed by Philip K. Dick, but it was signed by David Hartwell, series editor, Ben Yallow, who I think had some connection with Philip K. Dick and still go, I know he still goes to conventions, and also Carl Lundgren, the artist. I'm not going to shift these boxes. These boxes have hardcovers in. I have logged all the hardcovers that are in each of these boxes, so rather than having to search at random, I know what is in each box, but it is a bit of a chore if I need to get them out. And these block in the bottom of this bookcase, and below the Timescapes I have my Ballantine Adult Fantasy, and then I have a number of best of books by the authors, including all the Ballantine and Del Rey best of books, and a number of others, including some British ones. Carrying on round, up and top, I know there I've got a set of Dumarest books, the British editions, and again more miscellaneous hardbacks. And then on the shelves below I have my Ace doubles. So the original D's are at the back, and these are the later ones. Sorry, this was just spare space when I widened the shelf, so that's what that is. Coming down, I have more doubles in that area. These are just books where I've put in to use the space. Coming on down, I have large numbers of ace singles. These are certainly the top shelf, I'm sure, are probably all lettered singles. Carrying on down, there may be some numbered singles, but mainly it's going to be the lettered singles. And that carries on down. I'm not going to be able to show you this because there's not a lot of room. I then have a shelf of James Whites. That's not the only pile. At some point I must sort out James Whites. And at the bottom, I have a couple of boxes, and I include the boxes I have my Tor doubles in, if you remember seeing those. I then have a pile of boxes of miscellaneous paperbacks. I haven't yet got around to logging what is in each box, but I will just show you this. These are the Dennis Wheatley Library of the Occult books. Those are the only ones I have. I haven't gone out of my way to buy them, but when I see a nice copy in nice condition, I have picked them up. So what have I got, a dozen or 15 or something out of the 40 odd that there are in that series. Moving on to the next bookcase, this is another series of A format paperbacks in author order. Again, like all my bookcases, all double stacked. So as you can see in this one, I've got some John Christopher. So I've got 4 different copies of The Death of Grass. Carrying on along, Chris Claremont. And I've got a full set of the Spaceways books, and so forth. I'll show you the row below. So I've got a number of Glenn Cooks, and there are more on the back. A full set of the Hugh Cook series, including the last one, which is very difficult to find, and then a number of Louise Cooper's. I'll briefly try and show you the shelf below. The way I selected years ago was based on condition, and if I had a whole series, I tended to put the whole series. So maybe people will wonder why John de Chauncey was there on that shelf, but basically it's because I had the set and I had them in nice condition. And next to that is some of the Borribles books, which have never been that easy to find. I will carry on along and show you some more. So in this section I've got a lot of Dean Koontz, Henry Kuttner, who I always thought was a very good author, Laumer, Lafferty, oops, sorry if I'm on the shelf below, Murray Leinster, Holly Lyle, Laura and Lichtenberg, and then they start to disappear behind another pile of paperback boxes. So as you can see, it is very crowded, and then into the corner more boxes of hardbacks where I do have a listing of what's in each box. Up above, where I've widened the shelves, I've put a number of random books along. Some of these I would like to insert into the true sequence behind, but at the moment it's all rather random. Again, where I've got them in sets, I try and keep them in sets. So I don't know how easy it is for you to see this. It is rather difficult because there is not a lot of room for me to give you a perspective. So, and At the end there I've got a lot of the book of horror stories, pan books of horror stories. If I come down I can show you another row, number of signed Frida Warringtons. So as you can see, I am overcrowded. I don't have a lot of spare room. So at some stage I've got to decide what I do if I want to carry on collecting, or what to thin out if I do decide to do so. Finally, the third row where I have extended the shelves, so I know those are signed, for example. I hope you find it's interesting. And as I say, the alphabetical sequence on this wall is all the shelves except the top shelf and all the back layers, 2 rows. Right. As I come round, in there is a section which I built myself rather than getting the carpenter to do. It's only 1 book deep because there's a window frame behind and the bookcase didn't leave room to extend it out for 2. So basically there I've got Harry Potter books at the top, I've got Galaxy novels a bit lower down, and then I started the door books again from about 980 or 1000, whatever it was, down to the floor, and then the next row down. But again, where I've extended the shelves, it could be miscellaneous books. Now what I will briefly show you is this bookcase. I was given this bookcase 2 or 3 years ago when a neighbour moved, and I thought I'm not going to throw it out or donate it to charity. I kept it, and although it partly blocks the bookcase behind, I didn't think I'd want to be getting to the lower shelves that often. But as always, any surface that's available gets piled up with books. So there I've mainly got Adrian Tchaikovsky, Ken Liu, and there may be a few miscellaneous books. And down below is pretty much miscellaneous books. 3 shelves all double stacked. And that pretty much completes it, apart from this last section of books on the wall. Up above, and I'm not certain I can show you, yeah, is my VGSF collection. So it covers 2 shelves and the larger trade paperbacks up the top. Apart from that, miscellaneous hardcovers, miscellaneous books. When I first was trying to sort out my books, I had 3 shelves spare, which I gradually filled with A format paperbacks without sorting, on the basis that it took too long to insert a few at a time. So these 3 rows are miscellaneous, mostly A format paperbacks. And if I come down, there's some more. At one stage I was going to find and put together all my Venture SF books, but some of them I know are in inaccessible places, so I didn't bother. And then the shelves going down to the ground from there are all door paperbacks. So that runs from maybe 1100 to about 14 or maybe 1500. I don't remember exactly. And that concludes the review of my book room. That's me signing off.